Welcome back, NoDQ Galaxy, to a brand new edition of the NoDQ review number 184. And I am Virtue, being joined by this week's elite panel of NoDQ. Of course, Aaron Rift, who's back at it again, night in and night out. Robbie Weiss is back, kind of taking that Jargo role while he's moving to Indianapolis, so he'll be back. Of course, Walter Cruz is back now for a second week in a row, and Big G has returned as well. Gentlemen, what's up? How's it going, Big G? Are you happy to be here?
Yes, as always. I'm always happy to be here. I like making my rare appearances. Got to come in every once in a while now. Other than that, I'm doing good. May is going to be a busy, semi-busy month. I got AEW in 2 weeks, and then we got Baltimore Celeb Fest in about 3 weeks. So a lot coming up in May for me.
Wow, look at you. And I want to give a shout out to Colin the Cleaver Andrew, who is in the chat. I don't know if he's working tonight or not, but he enjoys moderating the trolls. So Big G, good to have you back. Walter Cruz, 2 weeks in a row. How does it feel to be a normal staple here on the NoDQ review?
Feels good. Glad to be 2 weeks in a row. Aaron's pocket might be hurting because it's missing my super chats 2 weeks in a row, but other than that, I'm good.
Well, as long as Psycho Jet Black is here making his Madcap Moss jokes, I'm pretty good.
Or Ham Connell.
Well, good to have you here. We like your input. And, we try to rotate. Like I said, Jargo will be back. I'm sure Colin will be back. Jeff Meacham will be back. So we'll keep the rotation going. Anybody else that's been on the review before, just get a hold of Aaron or me, and I'm sure you can be back on at some point. Robbie Weiss, what's my future debate opponent coming?
It's coming. It's good. The NBA playoffs have been super exciting, even though we're not here to discuss that in any way, shape, or form. It was actually more entertaining than anything on wrestling. But before we get too far into it, I'm just going to start the show by saying Monday Night Raw was the best wrestling on TV so far this week. We do have tomorrow for SmackDown. But, man, I think it's going to be a good show. There's some things to talk about. I'm definitely not a bot, and I'm sure my opinions will be labeled as bot opinions when we get to a certain segment. But, I'll let it get to that point. Let's just kick it off, man.
Yes. Aaron, who's a bot on NoDQ? Me?
Yeah.
Me? So, I have, green fluid in my veins and everything? Yeah. Probably
You're like
do.
Arnold. Like Arnold. You got your layer of skin to hide the botness.
What's going on?
Not a whole lot. It's been kind of a slow week. We've had a few news stories, so we'll talk about the happenings of the week. I feel like things have slowed down a bit since WrestleMania. We had a lot going on for WrestleMania, and then it kind of just cooled off for a bit. We still don't have an opponent for Roman Reigns at WrestleMania Backlash, but I'm thinking once we get closer to that event, we'll start to see the news pick up. But for now, there are a few stories to talk about, and I'm very curious to hear the opinions regarding one of the main topics. And Robbie in particular, I'm curious to hear what he has to say.
That's going to be the hot opener. Anyway, Roman Reigns did wrestle in house shows this past weekend. So all the Roman Reigns empire, fear not. He worked everybody with that fake injury against Brock Lesnar. He took advantage of the Kimura, made his arm look dislocated. He had the nice mat burn to really sell it off and make the dirt sheets and make the marks think he was hurt. But he is back nonetheless. So we're not going to talk about Roman Reigns today. I'm going to take a break from him. We got a lot of other topics, folks. And we're going to start off with AEW, Tony Khan and his huge announcements and what happened on Dynamite this week, a partnership with New Japan for, I believe, a pay-per-view. Is that what this sounds like? An event in Chicago called Forbidden Door. Very clever. I'm going to give him credit for that name. New Japan is obviously that fan base. To me, they're not catering or appealing to anybody but beyond the AEW diehard fans. So for them, he did really well. This was a great announcement. Outside of that, it didn't do much. I mean, Dynamite didn't draw a million again. So Robbie Weiss, hot opener. You're either in the hot opener or you're in the main event at WrestleMania. You are starting it off.
So what do I think about Tony Khan's big announcement?
Yeah.
So I don't look like a bot.
I definitely don't sound like a bot. And I'm going to come out here right now and say that I think this announcement does nothing but serve the AEW fans that are currently fans of AEW. This doesn't bring in casual fans. Outside of Okada, I have no idea who's even in New Japan Wrestling. The first time I've seen Jay White in my life was this past Wednesday. So I think it's a stupid announcement. Also, if you're going to treat something like a big announcement, don't dress like you're going to Waffle House at 3:30 on a Sunday. That's it.
Dude, and look, for the new, like, this is Meltzer 101. Like, Dave Meltzer is wagging his tongue. This is catering to him and his audience, and that's fine, right? I mean, that Tony Khan has the money to do this. I don't know how this works, how they split costs, if Tony Khan's fronting it all, whatever. I'm a big fan of Jay White, right? But nobody here in the States knows who he is because he's much New Japan. This is good for him to at least get on TV over here. But
the last time I really watched New.
Oh man, you sound normal again. I like the other one.
What are you talking about? I was just going to praise WWE real quick.
Okay.
The only time I actually had heard of Okada was when he was, wrestling Chris Jericho. That was really the first time I'd ever heard of him. So I don't really know where it all comes from.
But yeah, AEW just dropped the ball on that. Not cool.
So, and the thing is, maybe you just don't announce big. I mean, clearly it's not affecting ratings. Maybe just don't announce you have a big announcement, and then when it's time to announce it, announce it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, how many big announcements has this guy done in the past? Like
Dixie Carter got that was one of her faults, and it never really worked for TNA. And granted, at one point TNA got 1 million viewers or more, but it didn't last. I mean, come on. And here's the thing: everybody thinks I always hate on AEW. They gave Jay White a platform in the United States. However, this is going to turn out for him. I'm okay with that. I love the Dan Lambert stuff when he was insulting AEW fans. There was a lot of the Jericho stuff I've liked. But it's just, again, I just want Tony Khan to kind of take a step back. Walter Cruz, what do you think? Are you super hyped for this thing?
Not at all. To me, it felt flat. When you say big announcement and you hype it up and then it's this, you're only catering to one portion of your fans, then it's not that big of an announcement. You don't run a company well when you're only catering one portion. You got to try to involve everybody. You want to pull WWE people, WWE fans to your product, and then you announce this huge announcement that barely anybody recognizes. The one that I personally know, aside from Jargo, is a big NJPW fan, New Japan fan. So,
well, I'm interested to hear what he's going to say about this when he's back. Like, I know he likes the New Japan product that's over in Japan. I don't think he was really sold on too much of what's happened over here. So it'll be interesting to see what he has to say about this.
Yeah, and if you put a gun to my head and said, name 3 New Japan wrestlers or die, I'm dead because I can't even.
That's what I'm saying,
well,
man.
That's a fair opinion. I mean, you're honest, right? Yeah.
I want to comment on something in the chat. Nick Lavin said, anyone who follows all professional wrestling knows this is a big deal and will be fun to watch. That's like 2% of the wrestling fandom.
Right.
Like, I mean, let's be honest here. AEW is about 1 million viewers, right? I mean, weekly overall. WWE, just say 2 million, right? Raw's down, but SmackDown's up a little bit. There's 1 million people difference there. There's more people. So everybody, you're right. It's not for everybody. I know it's not for Aaron, right, Aaron?
Right. Well, and then the last thing I'm going to say here, too, Caleb Jacobs says WWE's missing out because of Vince's ego not wanting to work with other companies. Why would you work with lesser companies when you don't need to, when you're getting billions of dollars in TV deals and billions of dollars from the blood money of Saudi Arabia? There's no reason for Vince to lower himself to do that. He doesn't have to. It keeps his brand premium. He has set himself above everybody else. It would be a terrible business decision. And Vince is the best business mind in wrestling, which is why all of those wrestlers that he let go that weren't drawing are still not drawing or in the main event of AEW, right? I mean, let's be real.
He's too busy working with other countries. Forget other companies.
Yeah, he's trying to build a world empire, man. He doesn't have time to play.
He's got Saudi. Now he's going back to England with this. Now he's got a pay-per-view in England. You know how the tickets are going to sell in England right now? This is a huge deal.
If you could invite your friends over to play in a castle, why would you go next door and play in a treehouse?
Aaron, is this correct? Is Is Money in the Bank in a stadium this year?
Yeah, Las Vegas.
SummerSlam's in a stadium. The England event or the Wales event.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this is after WrestleMania, and not even counting Saudi Arabia. Like, wow. Now, Big G, you've kind of defected into this big AEW fan, right? That's fine.
Yeah.
So, no? What are you pulling back there?
I still like my WWE.
So, what do you think about this?
Honestly, I think he could have just posted it on like Twitter or something like that, like he always does, and that would have been fine. I mean,
Right.
You know, it seems like every other week there's a huge announcement at the AEW. Like, if it's a huge announcement, keep it as a surprise, and then like bring it on TV, or like I said, put it on Twitter or whatever nowadays on social media.
There was a time that when he said he would have a big announcement, it would raise the viewers a little bit for that show,
Right.
like a little over 1 million or whatever. And then it would die back down. And I think people just started realizing, well, we can find out that announcement later.
Right. And I mean,
his announcements aren't as big as he says they are. And now,
I mean, I've never watched Yeah. I mean, honestly, I've never watched. Damn it, Virtue. Let me talk here.
I am.
All right. So honestly, I've never watched New Japan Pro Wrestling. So I'm kind of interested to see how this goes. And I may or may not order the pay-per-view just to see how like AEW compares to the New Japan Pro Wrestling and see how like New Japan does with, their side. But I mean, I don't want to say it's kind of good for AEW or for Tony Khan because he's, I guess, working with other companies because he's still kind of small and, there's different options besides WWE. If you don't want to watch WWE, you still got your AEW, which is working with New Japan. He bought Ring of Honor now. So there's still options for other people who do not want to watch WWE. And yeah, if you think about it, even WWE, there's hardly any casual fans. All you have are the diehard fans. There are no more casual fans.
I agree with you, Big G.
There's no casual fans left. It's all the diehards. Yeah. And it's kind of hard to bring in the casuals nowadays, I would think, but I mean, as long as both companies have their diehard fans, they know they are like set for life,
right.
WWE and AEW.
Good point.
So
I disagree with you. There are the casual fans are very small. There are like 350 to 500,000 left. How I get that is Fox, the difference from SmackDown to Raw. You know what I mean? So, and it's like by a thread. I mean, Roman, Brock, Ronda Rousey, they're holding on to them by a thread.
Right, now, right. I mean, if it's the big names that people know, that's different. But like somebody who really doesn't watch AEW that much or WWE that much anymore. I see where you're coming though from Virtue. You're right. Like
Tony needs to just stop teasing the announcement though, because he needs to undersell and over deliver instead of overselling it and under delivering.
Yeah. Here's the thing, guys. Nothing's changed. Ring of Honor always had a partnership with New Japan in terms of having some of their wrestlers do their super shows and whatnot. The difference is Tony Khan's made Ring of Honor bigger with the AEW part of it. So, like, to me, nothing has changed. This is Ring of Honor, New Japan, but AEW on TNT or TBS now. Aaron, what do you think about any of this?
Just to add to what has already been said, I'm happy for the fans that are excited for this. I'm happy for the New Japan fans and the AEW fans that will get to see these dream matches. And I'm sure Tony Khan, New Japan, they will deliver a really strong wrestling show. I'm pretty confident of that. For me personally, I'm not really interested in it. I haven't been following New Japan, so I don't really know anything about the characters. I know Okada. I know a few guys. And I'm sure the wrestling will be good, but like I've always said, I like the storylines. I like the characters. And if I'm not emotionally invested in the stories and the characters, it's hard for me to just sit and watch wrestling matches.
Yeah.
NXT was great, but I still prefer what WWE does when it's done well. A lot of times they don't do it well, but I like the spectacle. And I like the soap opera element to wrestling that we more often see in WWE. And we do see it in AEW, even though they try to say we're professional wrestling. They still do it. You look at the stuff that Chris Jericho has been doing and what Orange Cassidy does. That is sports entertainment. Some people don't like it. Some people like it. But it is sports entertainment. And I think all wrestling is sports entertainment to a degree, but I like the emphasis on the characters and the storytelling. And with New Japan, I just don't know anything about it, but you do know you're going to get some good wrestling with that show. Will it expand the audience? Probably not. No. I don't think it's going to move any numbers. As I mentioned on my Wednesday stream, they've done this before with WCW and New Japan working together. There was a Starrcade that had almost all New Japan matches. And back in the day, I thought that was a forgettable Starrcade. Like, I had no interest in that show because I wasn't familiar with New Japan then. And nothing's really changed since that time. And that pay-per-view had Ric Flair and Randy Savage and so on and so forth. Not much else to add to it. I think Tony Khan should have just flat out said this was happening on TV, or they could have just ran a commercial for it without any fanfare, just put it out there instead of doing the major announcement thing, because I don't think it's at the level of Impact. I think Impact's announcements were really lackluster, like the Tito Ortiz August 13th warning. Like, some of those major announcements were really awful. And I would say AEW has done a better job with the announcements, but yeah, these announcements are catering to the core audience, the people that are going to watch pretty much no matter what. That's who Tony Khan is targeting. And, that's fine. We enjoy things about AEW. We enjoy things about WWE. But, Virtue, we've talked about this. I want to see AEW grow and become a worldwide brand. And I don't want to see them just stay in that bubble forever. I want to see them take it to Vince. I want to see them compete with Vince in the worldwide market. And my fear is, like, they did that thing with Satnam Singh last week, and people were complaining Tony Khan's going to get cold feet about trying to expand his brand beyond
that fan base sucks.
What he's doing right now. Well,
I mean, look, you got some comments in here that says, like Caleb says again, and yet most fans prefer AEW. Like, how delusional are you? Do you see viewership?
Because they're only in that echo chamber of AEW fans. So in their mind,
it's insane. A million views versus 2 to 3 million views is not most.
Robots are only programmed a certain way. So,
and I'm
not even saying
with
it's subjective.
Camera, exactly, but Mo and Caleb, I won't deny that the fans of AEW, the 1 million, they're dedicated. They're there.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
It's great to them. I'm not denying that.
Yeah, and if they're making money, more power to them. But I will say that I think both fan bases have toxic fan bases, like on Twitter especially. It goes both ways. It's just
that's why I don't say anything on Twitter anymore. I just see what other people put out there and just laugh at them.
Like, I can only imagine what it would have been like if Twitter had existed in 1998. Now, I remember starting out with WWFWCW.com, and there were some toxic fans. I remember there was something called guest books back in the day, and people would leave comments, and there was Rec Sport Pro Wrestling. You had the news groups. So there were communities, and then there were the bulletin boards, and there were some toxic people, but man, it has just gotten way worse in recent years. And I just think
Mo Camera, though, doesn't understand, Aaron. Yes, the ratings are only 2 million now for SmackDown, and whatever he said, Saturday Night Main Event drew on NBC in the 80s, 20 million. Attitude Era Raw's got 4 million, 5 million, and more. That was all domestically. WWE's expanded globally, so that 2 million is way beyond that when you count there's 7 billion people in this world, and WWE is touching almost every is touching literally every continent.
I mean, what was there? Something like some crazy amount of people that were watching WrestleMania in India. Like, they did a really huge number. So
I mean, it's a different game today.
They are drawing people, and you look at these stadium shows, this UK show, as touched upon earlier, the demand for it is huge. They're going to draw big numbers. We've yet to see AEW fill a stadium of that size. Now, could they with the right card? Maybe, but they haven't attempted it yet. So we'll see what AEW can do. I want to see their numbers go up. I want to see them be able to give Vince a run for his money. So Vince is shaking in his boots.
That's what I want, Aaron. I do.
Because that will make WWE a better product. People say like WWE is never going to change. Well, why should they when their profits are at record levels? There's no financial reason for them to change. And until AEW can cut into their bottom line, nothing.
They just got to get their advertisers. They start pulling advertisers on WWE and be like, hey, do this. That's how you get WWE's attention. And then you start getting the cable networks being like, well, I don't think we're going to pull you in. We're going to see what AEW when their contracts up. Like, that's how you get WWE's attention, not by doing these petty things and sicking your ridiculous fans onto social media to like defend and white knight the crap out of everything that happens. And here's something I said from the beginning. AEW will never get better if all of their fans defend everything that happens. We did that in the early 2000s with WWE. We're like, hey, give it a chance. Hey, you know what? This is still good. And look what we have now. 60% of wrestling sucks on TV. And when it's great, it's fantastic. But man, you guys sit there and just praise everything. You're just setting yourself up to become another Impact Wrestling or, knockoff, whatever you want to call it.
Well, they were poo-pooing Cody at the end there.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
They also have to stop signing everybody and put some stock behind everybody they have. Push it, put them in storylines, set people up to have attention span and get behind these people. I mean, for goodness sake, people they're not even behind CM Punk anymore. It was this big signing, and then you didn't do all this stuff, and then now people kind of forgetting about him. He's kind of another person now because it's just one person after another keeps walking through the door. You got to freeze the hiring process, put some storylines, put some good matches on TV. Let us get behind people, and then that's how you take over. You can't just keep signing after signing after signing.
Especially when they do nothing with them. Who have they brought over? Who have they brought over that were so misused in WWE that are actually skyrocketed into the main event scene?
Nobody.
World champions and household names? Any?
No.
Caleb?
Mo just loves burying WWE. They're holding on to Stone Cold and blah blah blah. Well, I mean, would you not hold on to the guy that basically buried
it's not even that.
Buried your competition? Oh, I know.
They'll never create. Tony Khan and AEW will never come close to creating any of the top stars in WWE history. They will never even sniff that atmosphere. Never.
Well, that's a bold prediction. You never know, though.
Well, that's part of nobody wants anyone to ever become bigger than their company anymore. Vince made that mistake already.
It's catching lightning in a bottle. Maybe one day something will happen. But anyways, we do have a $5 super chat from the Game Is On 100. He said the following. He says regarding the AEW New Japan show, says it won't work due to egos. AEW champ losing to the New Japan Pro Wrestling champ and putting themselves in a corner. Look at the Super Clash 3 fiasco with Lawler versus Von Erich title match. Well, that's going to be a challenge too. I'm thinking it'll probably be 50-50 with the booking. New Japan will win 3 matches. AEW will win 3 matches. But hey, Tony Khan is a 2-time Wrestling Observer Booker of the Year. Woo. I'm sure he can figure it out, and they'll all be satisfied with how that turns out.
Well, Aaron, we'll move on. Right, we got to talk some WWE this show, and let's start with Theory. He's no longer Austin Theory. Theory, just kind of a strange name, but he's the U.S. champion now. Got a mid-card title, beat Finn Balor. Vince McMahon, it's his right-hand guy, kind of like, Vince kind of had that thing with Drew McIntyre back in the late 2000s. It didn't really pan out until later on. Drew did become a main eventer, but he had a pretty popular match at WrestleMania with Pat McAfee. I think this guy's going to be a big star. It's early. He's only at that mid-card level, U.S. title. That's fine, right? Build him properly. What do you guys think? To me, when I first started seeing him with the Vince McMahon stuff and some of his ring gear, he did remind me a little bit of an early John Cena Ruthless Aggression. Not as big as John Cena, not the mouthpiece like John, but just something about where I could see Vince getting behind this guy. He has that funny looking smile, huge smile. Vince loves his wrestlers to smile. I think he's going to get that Vince McMahon push. Does he utilize it and become that star and connect with the fans? I don't know. What do you think, Big G?
Theory's done a lot in the past couple months than when he was first called up, and he was stuck with Angel Garza and Andrade or whatever that little group he was in. Then he went back down to NXT, to get everything together and whatnot. And he was put with Johnny Gargano, which I think was good because Johnny Gargano's been in the business for a little bit. So, and you had Shawn Michaels down there and Triple H still. So, he went back down there and he came back up, and now he's paired with Vince. I feel like Vince is, like you said, it's kind of like McIntyre back in like 2009. I think he's trying to make up for it because, it really didn't work out with McIntyre back then. McIntyre was young and dumb and stupid. And, Theory, he's young, but, times have changed and whatnot. But, it's weird. Like, I think when Aaron posted it, like, saying Vince doesn't want anybody to use the real names anymore or names that they used in the indies like Austin Theory and whatnot. And I was like, why don't just change the name completely if you're just going to have Theory? Because that's just, I don't know. It is what it is. I'm glad he's U.S. champ, and, maybe, they are pushing younger talent nowadays, Theory eventually.
Maybe they'll bring another wrestler in and call him Hypothesis. See where I'm going with this, Robbie.
Right.
Nice.
Eventually he may be main event material and main event WrestleMania one day because Roman Reigns isn't gonna main event WrestleMania. He's like
mid to late 30s with Roman, so
good for WWE starting to push some of their younger talent.
And well said, Big G, because Theory's getting pushed. Braun Breaker in NXT. They signed Gable Steveson. We don't know that yet, what's going to happen with him yet. But we don't know what's going to happen with this LA Knight thing, being a manager and, getting groups of young guys. Can he get them over with his mic work? It's not on TV yet. But there's attempts there for all the wrestlers they've released. It looks like they're trying to take new guys and to see what happens. Can you find the next main eventer? Walter Cruz, what do you think on Theory? I think this is a guy because Vince is pushing him. That doesn't always mean that I gravitate towards that. The guy has to kind of like captivate me. And Theory has that cocky swagger. So far, so good. What do you think?
I think there's obviously tons of potential there, but it's all in how he's booked. If he gets the proper booking, he can get up to the main event. But they need to use the U.S. title and the mid-card titles for what they used to be back in the 90s, a peg for the next step to get up. Like Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, all these people had the IC title. They made it feel important. And then as soon as they dropped the IC title, they went on to become WWE champ. So if you use him properly and he doesn't mess up, does anything, get arrested or anything off screen, then I think it's there. It's just he's got to live up to his potential, and it's all about booking. If they book him properly, then there's nothing but looking up for him.
Sky's the limit.
And like you said, U.S. title, perfect. Let him run. Maybe he makes that seem like legit. Like maybe he'll actually defend it.
Maybe he'll do.
Remember how it used to be with mid-card titles, and they got way away from that.
Yeah,
they could always correct that ship at some point. Maybe Theory is that guy. Robbie, everybody wants to know your take here.
Yeah, I think the name change is great, and I'll tell you why. Vince McMahon, again, being the genius that he is, what's the best way to get tons of wrestling fans, especially the really stupid, gullible ones, to tell everyone about this name change, and then people are going to tune in and check it out? How much traction do you think they've gotten on Twitter, on YouTube, and all these things? Because people, they're complaining, but they're sharing it over and over. And how many casual fans they might be exposing to this? Let me tell you this. I think Theory is going to be a really big star in this company. I don't know if he's going to jump right to the main event right away, but he doesn't have to. Let him dominate the mid card for a while. Give him some meaningful feuds and some great matches and some good story. Make him interesting. The name doesn't matter. You have guys that are super over in AEW named Wardlow. You had Hunter Hearst Helmsley, who did pretty good for himself. At the end of the day, the name doesn't matter. It's the storylines he's put in and how he performs under that pressure. If Vince sees something in him, I trust him. We just got to see if Vince stays the course.
Well said, Robbie. Well spoken.
Thanks.
Now we're going to go over to the Boss Aaron Rift.
I think he has some potential, but I do think that the jury is out with him. I want to see how he continues to evolve as a character. I do get the Drew McIntyre 2009 vibes from him right now, and not a guarantee he's going to make it, but they are strapping the rocket to him, and we'll see how it goes. But like Robbie said, they're going to need to put him in some memorable scenarios. Like you look at Randy Orton and his rise to the top when he had that feud with Cactus Jack, and they had that match at Backlash, which really put Randy Orton on the map. Theory needs that kind of match. He needs that breakout match where when it's over, people are like, holy cow, this guy is incredible, and he's tough as nails, and he belongs in the spot he's in. Right now, I just don't think that Theory has had that moment yet. I did like the WrestleMania moment with him taking the stunner from Steve Austin. I thought he took a good bump there. That was one of the better stunner bumps, but he really needs that career-defining match. Not sure if it's going to be another Finn Balor match. I actually hope it's not another Finn Balor match, but maybe an AJ Styles or somebody towards the top. I feel like it needs to be a top-level guy that Theory can beat in a classic match that can really elevate him to the next level, and people can be like, yep, this is going to be a future main eventer. He needs that breakout match and moment. So we'll see what happens with him. Virtue sent in a $2 super chat, says, I tag Walter to super chat next.
Oh, man.
So,
yeah, Robbie.
I was just going to say, I think Austin Theory will be a star as long as he avoids AEW, because from what I've seen, they like to push their current future stars like Adam Cole by losing to Orange Cassidy via hug.
Right.
Robbie, do you think that was the right spot for Pat McAfee to go over Theory at WrestleMania? That crowd was into that.
I don't. I think Pat McAfee, and we've discussed it, the guy's super entertaining, maybe one of the most entertaining in wrestling right now. So natural at it. But when you're trying to build Theory like they are, clearly, and obviously there was probably this idea they were going to push him. I don't think it would have hurt Pat McAfee to not go over in that match. You know what I mean? I think he would have been fine. He could talk through it. He could get on his podcast and do it. And Theory could have bragged about it, and that could have led to this match, with Vince rewarding him, and it would have made more sense, and it could have even been a better WrestleMania moment.
I think that title has to be featured on premium live events. Like, think about when's the last time it was defended on a pay-per-view / premium live event?
Very good point.
Can you even think about that?
Well, didn't Ricochet have it?
Finn
Yeah,
Balor.
the IC. He is the
whatever.
IC.
But
The interchangeable, no one cares about. Just whatever. Let him go to AEW.
These titles, Robbie, like if Russo's doing the tag titles and the Bloodline has all those titles, why not do the same and have Theory beat Ricochet and have both the mid-card titles? Like if you're gonna do it, and that
You
could be
might as well.
Theory.
Yeah.
You might as well.
Might as well.
Yeah.
You might as well, if you're doing it with the main title, the tag titles now, like what you said, the mid card titles, and you might as well do it for the women's titles.
Yep.
And to respond to
main
Mo Camera, he says Finn Balor lost to Roman with the rope break. Can I defend that? No, I'm not going to defend that because I'm not a blind sheep following wrestling fan like you are, dude. I can say bad things about any company. I'm not just going to white knight and cry and scream whenever someone insults something that I like and throw temper tantrums like a child. No, dude, I'm a grown-ass man. I'm an adult. I can say that things are bad with everything that I watch. Can you?
True.
I challenge you to try that out, man.
Yeah. That's how we do it, right?
How we do it.
Now, Rhea Ripley. Remember when she was the Raw Women's Champion? Yes, Aaron. Go ahead. That's right. You have a super chat.
We actually have two. So
Yeah,
first
go
one
ahead.
here
We're going to
is-
talk Rhea Ripley turn heel next. So
Seth Wallens sent in $5. Thank you for that. Says Wardlow is Dave Batista or Mason Ryan 2.0. Change my mind. Well, I hope he's Dave Batista and not Mason Ryan. But if he stays in AEW, he might end up becoming Mason Ryan. If he wants to be Dave Batista, he might need to jump ship to WWE.
Wouldn't he be 3.0? Because Mason Ryan was already Batista 2.0.
Right.
I don't even know.
Well,
if you
wait, though. This is can't Wardlow just be Wardlow 1.0?
Exactly.
You know what I
That's
mean?
what he should be. That's what
Yeah.
he should be. But I definitely see the comparisons. And Walter sent in a $2 super chat. Thanks, Walter. And thanks, Virtue. He says, your turn, Robbie.
I have donated anything that's ever come to me to NoDQ. I don't feel the need to do it.
All right. All right, we're up next with Rhea
you
Ripley.
could chip in with like a nice, opinion or comment later this show. That'll be your gift back to the panel. All right. Rhea Ripley. So she was Raw Women's Champion at one point, correct?
Yes.
Bianca Belair was SmackDown Women's Champion. And of course, the whole Becky Lynch thing happened. Everyone was kind of sour on, hey, Bianca got buried. Now look at her. She's the top babyface on Raw. She's the Raw Women's Champion. Rhea Ripley was mixed up with the tag titles. Now turns on Liv Morgan. She's heel. This could be her path back to the main event. We could get a program down the road. Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair. Those were two heavily pushed females out of NXT not too long ago, and it looked like they kind of got derailed, but here they are. Robbie, I'll come right back to you. I'm not a big fan of the whole gimmick and the punk rock and all that stuff, but she does look like she can kick ass, and now her being heel makes sense to me, so I hope she takes off again.
Yeah, dude. Rhea Ripley is that person, and I would love. Oh my god! Like I don't really get excited about a lot of matches anymore because again, I'm a story guy. But Bianca versus Rhea, I think has just cash just overflowing if they do the right story with that. And yeah, I kind of get it with the punk thing. I can see why you would not really get into that gimmick. The only problem I have with her doing that gimmick is the problem I have with every entrance in the world is every single wrestler has to do their pose or their signature thing as they come out. And I really, really hate that, especially like when her and Liv were tagging, she would come out and do that stomp thing right next to Liv. It's just stupid. Yeah. But other than that, man, those women, I feel like that could end up being one of the best women's matches in WWE history, which essentially means the world history of female wrestling at this point.
Now, Walter, and I might bring this group up again for our main topic with Alexa Bliss, Edge and Damian Priest. Now, it might just be them two. This is the way Edge can build up Damian Priest, right? And when that faction runs its course, there's a feud. Pass the torch, But if they do want to build this group, because Vince McMahon loves his dark gimmicks, Bray Wyatt's gone, Undertaker's retired, we don't see Demon Finn Balor anymore. Hey, let's make Edge back to kind of like a gothic from the Brood type thing and put Damian Priest with them. Vampires, demons, whatever. Could Rhea Ripley fit in here? Or could she just be a badass singles? Like, what do you like? I think that they're going to push her, whether it gets over with the fans or not, as a believable heel. Because, people they like to that's a problem with being heel, Walter. Fans like to like them for their heel work. So I don't know if that's going to hinder her. What do you think? Are we overlooking this? Is this really a heel turn, or did she just turn her back on Liv Morgan? We always just say heel turn, heel turn, heel turn. What do you think?
Definitely was a heel turn, and we all saw it coming. Okay. But I think she fits in with the Edge group perfectly, but establish her a while as a singles person. Let her get that Bianca match. And then she can join. If you do it immediately, it's just almost like they'll say she turned just to join that. She should be by herself, get the title maybe, or get up there, beat everybody up, and then Edge should recruit her. Edge should recruit her, because if you join and become a badass in there, then you want to get recruited. You don't just want to be seen as a follower. If somebody comes out and recruits you, it looks better for you in the end, because it was like, look, I'm so badass. Edge reach out to me. I didn't have to reach out to Edge.
Big G. Yeah. So you went from Shayna Baszler, right? And she was a heel, badass NXT, won that Elimination Chamber. Hey, this could be her WrestleMania moment. We all know how that didn't happen. She did get the tag titles, but you defected to Britt Baker, AEW. Could Rhea Ripley be somebody you get behind as a badass heel contender for the title?
So So I do like Rhea Ripley. Don't get me wrong. So you should have. I don't know if you guys remember back in the second Mae Young Classic. You know, she was just long blonde hair, regular ring gear, and then when she went to NXT UK, she kind of started turning into what we know as Rhea Ripley today with the punk rock and stuff like that. And I think that's her being her. I think she likes all that punk rock stuff outside of WWE. But I've always liked Rhea Ripley more as a heel than a babyface. And it's funny, you had Nikki ASH turn on Rhea and then breaking up that tag team, and now you have Rhea breaking up another tag team with Liv Morgan. But anyways, give it a while before she joins Edge's new faction. You know, have it at the next pay-per-view or something like that at WrestleMania Backlash where she joins, or even after that, have her dominate pretty much the women's division again, bring her back up. Like, for instance, like I think next week they're having the women's match for Bianca's title. After that match, I would have Rhea come out and attack Bianca to set up for the match at WrestleMania Backlash, since they're already having a title match next week for the title. So, but yeah, build her back up, make her, you know, dominant, kick ass. Don't screw it up like Shayna, and that will be good.
Will you jump on that bandwagon if she wins the title?
No, I mean, I like her. You know, she's a good
Big G. What was the final straw of your Shayna Baszler fandom that caused you to jump ship, abandon her, and then go to Britt Baker?
Losing to
good question, Robbie.
Losing
really
to Becky Lynch. Losing to Becky Lynch at WrestleMania.
Losing to the most over female in probably 20 years. That's harsh, man.
Big G was like all in, no pun intended, for that moment, that pandemic WrestleMania at the Performance
Think about
Center.
it. She dominated. I mean, yeah, it's a gimmick match.
How does that make you feel that she forfeited the title not too long after that because she was pregnant?
That kind of irked me. I'm like, if you knew that you were pregnant, like prior to WrestleMania, drop the title. Or, you know, I think Becky even said she wanted to lose the title at WrestleMania or something like that. I don't know. But anyways, that was just like, it was NXT, but you had her dominate NXT. You had her pretty much beat down Becky Lynch and bite her freaking neck and make Becky bleed on her debut. You had her win the Elimination Chamber match cleanly, might I add you. And then, I mean,
pretty dominant fashion too, huh?
In dominant fashion too. But yeah, I understand Becky was big at the time, and you know Vince was trying to get her over. So,
well, I'll let you know when it was for me. I gave up on Shayna Baszler when she debuted that terrible purple singlet, whatever she's doing these days. That's it for me. I mean, I judge people. Look. I'm gonna lie. I'm a casual fan. Ring gear and entrance music to me is like 6 out of 10 of what I look for when I like a superstar.
I'm with you on that.
I'm with you too.
People tell me like you put too much stock into the entrance music, and I'm like, the entrance music makes a big difference. Like when Robert Roode comes out to Glorious, I'm excited. I'm hyped up. He comes out to air crap. I'm like, whatever.
That's what I said about Razor. Razor Ramon had a badass theme. It fit. Everything was just
his whole presentation with the hair, the toothpick, the attire. Like even it was cool.
Even Goldust, like his music, everything got him over. Yeah,
dude. That WWF the Music Volume 2 is one of the best of that era.
Back in the day, those CDs, I got everyone.
That's what I'm talking about.
I got them too. I got them too.
I got them somewhere.
I used to love blasting Sid's music.
Hey, at Virtue, you know, like for the New Japan show, you know, like the fans in Chicago United Center, they're going to pop for these New Japan Pro Wrestling songs that I've never heard in my life. And I don't think they're particularly good or anything. Like, I don't get Hook's theme. Like, people pop for it. I don't get it either.
Mankind had an awesome theme back in the day. It used to freak people out.
Yeah. He had his beginning and his outro.
Yeah.
But yeah, like in AEW, they have these theme songs and the crowd's going crazy, and I feel like Homer Simpson in the bar, and he's the only straight guy in the bar.
Look at the NWO's music. They wouldn't have been as over if they didn't have that cool theme with it too.
I feel like I'm just out of touch, man. Like I don't get half of the AEW theme
We're
songs.
old, Aaron. We're
Hey,
old, man.
and we can all agree that MJF is one of the best talents out there. I think his theme sucks. I think he has one of the worst theme songs I've ever heard.
I can't
in my
even
life.
think of his theme right now.
Caught on with me after a while, but I get what you're saying. Like,
Yeah, I mean now because I associate it with him, it's kind of grown on me a little bit. But like the first year was rough. Every time I hear it, I'm like, this is what they're getting. Probably the best up and coming star in the company. That's what they give him.
yeah, I don't know who Action Bronson is, so it's like I hear Hook's theme and everybody's popping. I'm like, I never heard of this guy before.
I think they're popping for Hook, not the song. I mean,
Aaron,
like,
we're pushing 40, man. We're not the target demo anymore.
We're not.
no,
We're definitely not.
I
But look at Jericho using Judas now. How over is that? It's all about theme.
But he's a
and
heel
their
now.
overall
He
presence.
shouldn't be using Judas. That's the
He
thing.
sure
And
should.
that
he
was
used
his
it- he had used
own.
it when he first came to AEW. He was a heel.
That was his
But
own.
it was Sammy
song,
Guevara
too.
that kind of started the whole sing-along thing as a heel, and then when he became face, it was really over. And now as a heel, they have that Jericho Appreciation Society thing before it, and then it hits into Judas.
If I was him, I would start Judas and then cut it off, like just to get on people's nerves.
He has
I mean,
so
of course,
many-
they're still gonna sing it, but that would be the heel stuff to do. Like just
What they
start
needed-
Judas and then cut it off.
What they need to do is Fozzy has so many songs out there. He should do what Edge did and switch up his song.
100% agree.
And
Yep.
just switch
Let
up-
me
I mean,
ask you
really,
guys this. If and when, I'm going to say when, Chris Jericho returns to WWE, it'll be in a big town, Monday Night Raw or SmackDown. Is that crowd going to go nuts when they hear that?
Of
break
course.
the walls
Of course.
down. Yeah.
Yeah.
If he come
Big
back,
time.
he should come back in Canada.
But you need a song where like the first second you know what it is. And for some of
I
these
want the old
AEW
Jericho
songs,
countdown.
I'm like, who is this coming out? And to be fair,
That's true.
a lot of the current WWE songs are that way too. Like we
Yeah.
talked about this with the Royal Rumble. Like somebody's coming out and we're like, wait a minute, who is this again?
Oh,
I was suspect on Roman's new theme. It grew on me. They
grew on me
They
too.
chose well on that. So
They should do the countdown leading into Judas. That would be
Yeah, there
awesome
you go.
with Jericho. Use the countdown,
Now-
but then play Judas into it.
Aaron, you got to give your thoughts on Rhea Ripley, and I know some super chats came in. So
All right, we'll get to the
keep it
super
mobile.
chats here in just a second. Real quick on Rhea Ripley. Heel turn was absolutely 100% the right move. I think Bianca Belair needs a strong heel to go against. I think Rhea Ripley can be that person. I 100% think she should be part of Edge's faction. I want to see Edge make a big faction. We don't see big factions in WWE anymore. It's always like 3 people max for whatever reason. I want to see like a 5, 6, 7 person faction. Edge making the biggest, most dominant faction we've seen in WWE in years. You bring in Rhea Ripley, you turn Finn Balor, he'll get his career back on track. You bring in Ciampa, and you have like a really strong 5 to 6 person faction. And hell, maybe you could add a few more people to the bloodline at some point, and you can have a dominant Raw faction and a dominant SmackDown faction. And then when Survivor Series comes along, the match will actually mean something when you put Edge's group against Roman Reigns' group. So
they could bring up.
So you want like a new ministry?
Yeah, kind of. Like I miss the big factions. We
So
haven't
do I.
seen any in a long time.
Me too, but you got to make them all winners. You can't have a weak link.
I don't know, man, because like even when you had some of the big factions that would fight other factions, when the lesser people fought, they always had that understory of like, oh, these two groups don't like each other. And it always kind of added a little bit more to the story. And like you said, Aaron, I need the story. I if you just put a wrestling match in front of me, I'm just gonna turn it off. You know what I mean? Like, but if it means something, it's like watching Rocky, man. I'm super into it, and I'm rooting for the guy I want to win. And you can't do that without story.
Just make sure they're all winners. They're good wrestlers. Don't start watering it down like you did with NWO, like Disco Inferno joins the Wolfpack.
Absolutely. You cannot be bringing in
Hey, you leave
That
Disco
was a
Inferno
Wolfpack,
alone.
though. Wasn't it the Wolfpack?
It was. The red and
Yeah,
black.
but it got so watered down to the point where you had to split it into 2.
I don't think
Walker,
the
you gotta
Wolfpack
be
was ever
careful.
watered.
2 of the 5 Disco Inferno fans left on the planet Earth are in this group right now.
I don't think the Wolfpack got watered down like the black and white NWO did, though. Like that was bad.
Like eventually
NWO,
everybody
was
was
in
a
the
brother
NWO.
were in that group. Like
White and
wasn't
black,
Kurt
red and
Hennig-
black, LWO. They were all
Yeah,
there.
it wasn't like Kurt Hennig, Macho Man. There was too many people involved in that. Like they should have just left it at 4 maximum and
Hugh Morris,
Yeah.
Jim Norton.
Well, they wanted to get everybody
I-
over.
I like Big Bubba, Big Boss Man, but once they put him and Mike Rotundo in the NWO, that's when it really started to go south.
Side note, and it's the last side note I'll take. It took me so long. Growing up, I had no idea who the Disciple was, and when I found out years later, I was shocked.
Interesting.
Good old Brutus the
I
Barber
mean, he does
Beefcake.
look different with the beard, so I could see not
in the headband. I had no. It was like 10 years later. I was like looking something up, and I was like, "What? Yeah, do you remember the Disciple?"
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I had no idea that was Mr. Brutus Beefcake.
It got to the point where NWO now you can do a trivia now with all these names and say who was and who wasn't in the NWO, and people would get confused because it just seemed like everybody was in it.
Yeah, and to Rez that said my opinion never matters, dude, you're right. No one's opinion matters. It's an opinion. We come on, we talk about how we feel. You could either have a counterpoint, like an educated, informed adult, or you could just say stupid memes like that and look like a jackass.
Well said.
Ouch.
I'm
Just
glad
saying.
you
Throat.
Nah.
Yeah.
I'm going to get hate for this, but what's the appeal of the Bullet Club? Like, I always felt like it was just an NWO knockoff, the Too Sweet. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, it is.
It caught
It's
on.
nostalgia.
It definitely was. It definitely
It's
was.
nostalgia of the faction. That's literally all
I
it
mean,
is.
they were like the heel. They were like the heel
guys in it?
Westerners. The New Japan version, it made sense. They were like the heel Westerners or non-Japanese people that were trying to take over New Japan. But it broke off into over here in Ring of Honor. That's when it's like, all right, NWO? What?
It's like
Yeah,
three
broke off
different
the Ring
versions
of
of it.
Honor and back to New Japan and Impact now, I think.
Yeah.
Aaron, you have
Yeah,
some
it-
super
it's
chats
too much.
before we move on to the main event.
Yeah, let's get to those. So Dwayne Atkinson said, since Robbie won't donate, Aaron, tag you're next. Me, I'm next. I gotta give
I don't even know
myself.
if you can. I
That
don't even
means
know
I
if you
take-
can
Super
do.
chat himself.
I take a loss because YouTube
Yeah,
takes a cut of like.
Aaron, it
20%.
doesn't even let you donate to your own chat. That
I'd
would be
have
so goofy.
I don't think I can do it on StreamYard, so don't think that's gonna happen. Oh, and Virtue sent in $2. He says, "Is Big G really happy to be here? Are you happy?
Well,
Yes, I am.
Reasonably? Big G's reasonably happy to be here. All right.
moderately happy. I like it.
Last thing about Rhea, maybe Sonya can be a chicken shit heel and get behind Rhea and sick her on Bianca. Maybe that'll happen.
Yeah, like the Sean and Diesel thing. Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, I just think Rhea's better off as a heel. She's one of the taller women on the roster, more intimidating. So I think she's naturally.
Some people just fit as being a heel. Like Orton fits being a heel. Edge fits being a heel. It's just something about them that is just
right.
Some people, I think, have more fun being the heel, and that comes through their performance. I think that's a big part of it.
Like Miz. Miz is the ultimate. Like he has fun with that.
He loves it.
I respect him.
Look at Triple H during his heel run versus face run.
Ratings.
Oh, that's a face turn by Big G.
And it wasn't Triple H's fault. It's the booking. Everybody's mad at how much he won, but it's not.
I wasn't. I thought that was the best era we've ever had in wrestling.
Yeah. That's your favorite,
other than
Robbie.
2019, I was fine with everything Triple H did, except Booker T should have went over.
That's the caveat I'll always give. Booker T should have went over. Yeah, 100%.
You threw all those racist elements, and then he didn't overcome.
Yeah,
that.
some of those lines, like what did he say? Like someone like you could never be champion, and then he beat him. I was, I remember even back then, I was like, all right, man, I don't know if that's okay.
Not only did he beat him, but he took like 20 seconds between the pedigree and the pin. Like.
That was the worst thing about that WrestleMania.
Yeah,
for sure.
and WrestleMania, everyone kicks out, and you're telling me he couldn't kick out after a 20-second break from a pedigree?
Yeah. Oh, and Mr. Dijakovic said, "Isn't Rhea Ripley like 5'9"? I think she's 5'7" actually, but she seems taller because a lot of the women on the roster are like 5'2", 5'3", 5'4".
Yeah.
So Rhea Ripley stands out.
Plus his camera angle.
Charlotte's like the only taller
from other.
Yeah, Charlotte's like 5'8", 5'9", somewhere around there. And let me see. We got Seth Wallens with a $5 super chat. Says, Hook's theme is awesome because it's an actual underground hip-hop jam. Action Bronson is beloved in the hip-hop community. I guess, man. I just don't know if it fits Hook. Like I don't know.
That's
We're-
something.
again,
The song's okay. It's just I don't know if it fits Hook.
we're on the wrong side of 30, and we are not the target audience of that.
Exactly.
But is Hook the right guy to be having that theme song? I don't
No.
know. Just doesn't feel
No.
right
No.
to me.
Yeah.
Feels
It's
like
off.
they're trying too hard to make him cool, and he comes out there with the hair, and I don't know. I don't get it, but maybe they just want to be supportive because he's Taz's son and they love Taz.
Here's the other thing. Would anybody care about Hook if he wasn't Taz's son?
Nepotism in wrestling, I'm shocked.
Ooh, great point.
I'm gonna get a lot of hate for that one, though.
Oh, here,
Probably.
main event time, Aaron.
All right, yeah, let's go for it.
So we had the 4 horsewomen come up through NXT. Becky, Charlotte, Bayley, and Sasha have all had their runs. I remember she was just like a manager for the most part in NXT, Alexa Bliss. But if you remember correctly, early on after she got called up, she kind of won a lot. She held the title a few times, both Raw and SmackDown Women's Championship. She got mixed up in the angle with Bray Wyatt. I think she sold some merch. And now they have nothing for her. So this is the main event. And some people were like, why would you talk about this if she's not on TV? Because she's not on TV and she should be. That's the topic, people. So I tweeted earlier. And as I looked this tweet up, I actually tagged Vince McMahon in it, who probably doesn't even run his Twitter account and will never see it. But I got a couple chuckles out of this. And it says, the hottest female, and that's my opinion, on WWE's roster, Alexa, is currently not being utilized. Shame on you, Vince McMahon. Did you forget what sells and draws? Tune into the NoDQ review tonight to get some ideas. So that's what the topic is, gentlemen. We're going to talk about Alexa Bliss. She's been the top champion. Before she did her hocus pocus spooky stuff. Remember earlier I said Rhea Ripley should be an Edge and Damian Priest group? I don't think Alexa Bliss should be. I think she should come back. She can talk. Have her start interviewing wrestlers and get them over. I know she used to do that little talk show. Make it more interesting this time. Have her turn that into wrestling. She was a top champion. She's cute. She's got a fan base. Oh my God, Virtue thinks Alexa Bliss is hot. He's a creepy. Yeah, remember the Attitude Era? We were allowed as wrestling fans to think the women were hot. And damn it, they were in Playboy. I'm not saying go do Playboy, Alexa Bliss. I just want to see her wrestle.
You tweeted sex sells. You tweeted it.
And it does.
Yeah, it does.
Aaron, was Alexa in a segment way back on Raw where she had like a towel around her atop, and that got like 5 million views on YouTube?
Probably.
Yeah. I don't think Alexa got 5 million views because she was like, this great wrestler. But here's the deal, guys. They got 2 rosters of women. They need every woman they can to be in at least a contender or a threat to the title. Robbie, I think Alexa Bliss, how is there nothing for her? Or are we being led to believe that because there is and they want it to be a surprise when it happens? What do you think?
I think that's it. I mean, they put the belt on her so many times that I have to believe that they still have faith in her. She's done everything to the best of her ability and just done absolutely incredible in almost everything she's done on the main roster. She took the stuff with Bray Wyatt. I thought she did very well with it. She can act, she can speak, and she's really good in the ring. And I think the best role for her is a Daniel Bryan type of underdog face because she's smaller, who the fans can get behind and they can rally behind, and then they have a really good feel-good moment. And when the time comes, she could be a chicken shit heel and do that whole gimmick where she runs away and has the bodyguard. I mean, they could reuse all that stuff forever, and I think she's talented enough to get it over. So yeah, I think that there is stuff in the works for Alexa Bliss. I think WWE has way too many writers to not be on the ball with something like that. So absolutely. But again, hold on real quick. And then I see in the comments, people say that Alexa should go to AEW.
And I have no idea why she would go to the worst wrestling division for women in the world. Literally, the AEW wrestling division is garbage. It is absolutely hot garbage. Outside of Rosa and Britt Baker, it is hot garbage.
And that's all I really have to say.
And somebody pointed out in the chat, yes, she just got married. I think it was the singer Ryan Cabrera. I don't know. And yeah, you get time off to do all that stuff. But Aaron, what was the last thing she was on TV? Getting like the therapy and getting like corrected?
She was at Elimination Chamber and then she disappeared.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if they wanted just maybe they're just burning off the Bray Wyatt stigma longer, right? So maybe they do have a plan. And of course, the dirt sheets are the ones that say we were told that they have nothing for her. But like she's won the title multiple times. It wasn't just like, hey, I won it once, like Carmella with a cash in. She's been booked a couple, like both titles once or twice each. They obviously, and I know she had problems getting injured. She hasn't worked that much the past couple of years. She's healthy. Walter Cruz.
Yeah, hopefully Robbie's right, and there is
something
looking at
some pictures of her. I saw you.
Because no, I'm not. Not at all. I do agree she's hot though.
Yeah.
She is talented, and she has the whole package. She can talk, she can wrestle, she can work. She's good looking. She everything. So I mean, how can you not have anything behind? Like I would trade her to SmackDown, make her a face, give her these rivalries. Bayley's coming back. You got all these people on SmackDown. Sorry?
When is Bayley coming back?
He's just a blanket statement. She's coming back, whether it's next week or 6 months from now, she's coming back. Veer is coming, and he finally did.
Yeah. But, Bayley and Alexa will be a good match. Alexa with anybody would be a good match. You just got to book her right and make her a face. I would change her finishing move. That twist of bliss is just a moonsault spin thing.
And she's light.
Yeah. Wasn't she using like a version of a DDT for a little bit?
Mm.
She was doing like a weird, like small DDT while you're on your knee already. I mean, I would prefer that over the moonsault. I mean, she beat Nia Jax. She conquered Nia Jax. She conquered so many people. There's no way you would not get her over.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well said. All right, Big G. I know it's not Shayna. It's not like look, I'm going to be honest with you. Everything you see in Britt Baker, like I saw that in Alexa Bliss way like 5 years earlier. And so I'm interested in, because I don't know if we've really ever talked other than the Fiend stuff about Alexa Bliss, because it's always been like Shayna, Becky, right. Ronda. Tell me your opinion about Alexa Bliss.
I do like Alexa Bliss. I mean, I started watching Alexa Bliss when she started in NXT as the manager for Murphy and Blake and Murphy. And, she got her main roster call up. And like you said, she's won, I think her first title was a SmackDown Championship Women's title. And she's been champ at least 4 or 5 times, I believe. And, she did her spiteful thing, then went to her goddess spiel. And then she got hooked in with, I think the best thing that could happen with her was with the Fiend Bray Wyatt, and then the Fiend gets released and they try to continue doing the whole being possessed Alexa Bliss and with Lily and stuff like that.
Were they selling dolls at the merch?
They were selling Lily.
I was going to say, she even got Lily over.
Well at the merch.
People were buying Lily.
They were selling pretty good. And, then like we all mentioned, she did this. She left for a little bit after the whole Charlotte feud because she had some kind of surgery done. And, she came back, did her therapy sessions. And I figured, okay, she's kind of diverting away from this Fiend thing with with the therapy.
And I'm fine with that.
And, she comes out to Elimination Chamber still wearing the whole black thing and whatnot, playing into the Fiend Alexa Bliss still. And, I was like, okay. And then now she got married. And, hopefully when she comes back, they can just, because, WWE likes us to forget things. They can just drop this whole Fiend thing and let her just go back to regular Alexa Bliss. Because like we all said, and everybody said in here, she can talk, she can wrestle, she can do everything, Heck, Bowling for Soup made a song called Alexa Bliss. That's how,
Big G, is it the WWE way? I don't think this has any chance of happening because of Bray Wyatt. But Cody came back to WWE.
Right.
Got a good payday. Is there ever a chance? I mean, there's always a chance, but like, would that not be something if Bray Wyatt returned and Alexa Bliss returned, and it's like, whoa, what happened the past couple of years if they're back? And they could present them both differently too.
Right.
Again, another possibility. But Robbie, I like what you said. Do the Daniel Bryan thing. Not like exact, right?
Yeah,
You don't need to
but-
do the yes. You don't need to.
But,
But
see,
that underdog, yes.
the
It
thing
definitely
is,
work for her
though,
because she's so small.
I mean, I honestly prefer, because I don't think she's been faced that many times, but I've preferred Alexa always as a heel. I like her more as a heel.
I mean, she can do both roles pretty well.
She
I
can,
agree.
but I man.
She's one
I
of
like
those
her
that
more as a
fits the
face.
role.
Actually,
Yeah, I like her
and
more as a face too.
I don't like the chicken shit heel. Alexa Bliss is very good at accomplishing the goal of that character. But I really like the confident, like, I'm going to overcome this. I'm going to beat the odds. I like that version of Alexa Bliss a lot better.
Like 5 year Fury. So
yeah,
Yeah, she's
I see
like
where you're
5'2".
coming from, guys.
Yeah.
It's just I find it hard to believe they have nothing for her. Like Robbie and me.
Or they're just waiting for
I
the
think
right
they
moment.
do. I think they're waiting. I think she got married.
I hope so.
You can tell the dirt sheet's something and let them run with it. Now you got the fans expecting nothing out of her. And then boom, when it's time, there you go. Oh my God, Alexa.
You got
Bliss
Money
is
in the
back.
Bank in what, June or July?
I mean, that's
won that
the
Oh,
thing.
I'd love for her to win that. Come back.
Yeah.
And win that. That would be
It should be a
great.
2-time winner, right? She won before,
Yeah.
right? Didn't she cash
Yeah.
it on Nia?
Yeah.
Dude, that would be
No,
great
she
for
cashed
her.
it on Ronda.
Yeah, all they have to do is release any kind of story that there's nothing for Alexa Bliss, because what that's going to do is that's going to make Dave Meltzer write something on Twitter, which is going to cause like most of the hardcore AEW fans to start texting about how Alexa Bliss is underused. They're going to just generate so much coverage, and then Alexa's going to debut again, and they'll be like, we didn't want her anyway. But they're going to get that free publicity because again, these stupid people literally just like, it's shocking how most of these fans cannot
You needed
think.
to change the voice on that whole thing there.
No, this is actually me talking, and I'm going to say that those people, those fans, this isn't even Robbie Vice. This is Rob Klein. I'm telling you guys something right now. You guys are stupid. You guys are so dumb for just parroting the same stuff over and over. There has not been a single opinion. All of these attacks against me today, there has not been a single original idea between all of you. I will let any of you debate me on this topic as I get ready for Virtue. And I bet none of you will stand up because you guys are all cowards. You're not as smart as I am. You don't have the money that I have. My setup is better than yours. And you'll never have the wrestling knowledge that I have. You guys are all just sheep tweeting the same Dave Meltzer articles over and over. Get some new material or leave me alone. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I am open for
exactly
debates.
how algorithms work.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone that wants to debate that, let's do it. Let's do it.
That Twitter deal with Dave Meltzer from last year is living rent free in your head.
Oh God, that guy's such an ass. Yeah. What a just
his people came after you. You have not let that down.
I got hundreds of DMs from that literally telling me to go kill myself, that they hope my family kills myself, because those are the people that AEW caters to. These horrible, awful human beings that wish death upon people for not liking the same wrestling that you like, or suggesting that maybe they should have an easier way to buy their pay-per-views, which is what I said. And Dave Meltzer's fans told me to kill myself. So let's do it. Aaron, what's the email they can send to you if someone one of these jokes wants to get on with me and just get destroyed?
NoDQMISC@gmail.com.
Let's do it.
Nice.
All right.
Now, Aaron, you got to follow that.
Yeah. Good luck.
I'll just say this about Alexa Bliss. I think you all made great points about her. I definitely think there is value in her. Steve-O had a great comment from earlier that there are fans that have been willing to pay hundreds of dollars to go out on a date with her. I mean,
Right, I remember that.
She could definitely be a top baby face in WWE. Drop the whole Bray Wyatt gimmick that she's had for the past year and a half, and let her go out there and be the underdog. Change it up with her. Just let her be herself. But part of me still thinks that there is some truth to these reports. And when the next round of cuts are announced, I would not be shocked if she's on that list. I'm saying it right now. If she's one of the people cut, I'm not going to be surprised. I think it'll suck, but I won't be surprised. I feel like part of the problem is that WWE only likes to push like 5 or 6 women at a time for whatever reason. And then everybody else is pretty much just on the sidelines doing nothing. Where's Bayley? Where's Asuka? Like there's several women that could be utilized right now. And yeah, maybe you're right, Virtue. Maybe they're waiting for the right moment to bring back Alexa Bliss. Same thing with Bayley. Same thing with Asuka. But
there's an APV out
Dude,
there.
if they cut her, if she doesn't leave on her own, and she's a part of releases at any point in the future, I will sound off. That will be one of the stupidest things they've ever.
I mean, they cut Bray Wyatt.
I can't even. that didn't even ever register my mind, Aaron. And you said it, and I'm like, holy shit! If they did,
I never thought
I
that.
personally don't think it would happen. I think she would leave on her own accord. But if it did, that would be the first. Like Bray Wyatt was shocking to me.
It was.
But
I think it was
after
shocking to
hearing
everybody.
that he had created, he was very creative and he was probably pushing back creatively. It made sense. I will be shocked if Vince lets a woman like that go that sold him merch. I don't know.
Wyatt was selling merch.
I know, and Enzo was, and that whole thing never panned out with that girl accusing him, and he never came back. So you're right. You can make Vince money, and he still might be disinterested.
But at least with Wyatt, there was a clash backstage with creative differences. I don't think any of that exists with Alexa. So it'll really be a surprise.
I just couldn't fathom her getting cut. Like I would just be. That tells me that it's an echo chamber of like Vince McMahon just sits there and only pushes his 5 or 6 people, like Aaron said, and anybody else. I think the decisions are made. Not even Vince doesn't find out about him until Nick Khan cuts him or something. That would be shocking. Like I can't even. I never even thought that. Never registered. My mind
I never thought that, dude.
And you saying that, it's like holy shit. Like that would get a lot of attention. I think that would really get a lot of attention. WWE.
The only thought I had about her was
that'd be negative.
What brand she would come back on? Never crossed my mind.
That would be one. If she got cut, I'd be the first one to raise my hand and say, "Get her, Tony. Get her."
Absolutely.
Assuming he would let her be on TV and not bring her in and Ruby Soho her,
Right, and then she's on.
But anyway, all right,
Rampage.
The next big wrestling
not comprehending.
And that's another thing with AEW too. Like for some reason they cannot do more than one women's match on Dynamite. They just can't.
Yeah, exactly at 9:30.
9:30.
9:25.
Tony Khan's on the back going like this. It's 9:30. Get the women out.
They've at least let the women main event once or twice.
Well, they did. Right? They had the one match with Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker, and then Thunder Rosa has barely been on TV. Like they put her in these little 60-second backstage segments on Dynamite, and that's about
Britt
it.
Baker did have good. She had some good promos too.
Yeah,
that's it, gentlemen. Anything else to catch up on before we do our plugs?
That's it.
Hour and 10 minutes are gone by. I know, Robbie, you got to get out of here. So if you want to do your plugs first, go for it, man.
That's fine. So I'm sure people are gonna love to follow me after that.
In the robot voice.
Yeah, so don't follow me. I am a bot account. I am not a person. I am not at the Robbie Vice. I am literally part of a bot farm network. So thank you very much for having me on the show, gentlemen. I have to go recharge my batteries.
Get him the hell out of here. Get the spot out of here.
Good having you.
Buy some.
All right, Walter Cruz, over to you.
Thanks again for having me. I'm on Twitter at Walter Alex Cruz. The handle is there. I'm also on Instagram at Calfire Farms. It's CALFYR Farms. If you're into that stuff, you can figure out what that is. Other than that, I'm good and just grateful for being up here again.
How was your 420, by the way?
Excellent.
I'll take your word for it.
Nice. We may have to have Walter off of a show for a week so he can get back to his chatting ways again. Because not just because you super chat, but you bring up great points for us to talk about that I don't even have scheduled on the show. So even the weeks you're not on, Walter, you're going to be invaluable to adding content to the chat. And giving Big G more things to talk about. Remember when Big G used to have to always answer questions he didn't know? What happened to that?
Yeah.
That used to be fun. You haven't been on that much, though. Do your plugs, Big G.
Yes. So, and if you want to put that up real quick. So, Baltimore Celeb Fest 4, Parker Kane Promotions. We are bringing in Nick Aldis, JTG, and just recently Buff Bagwell. There's going to be a lot of other legends and superstars from AEW, WWE there. So if you're in the Maryland area, come check that out. And you can follow me at Big Baller G 1988 on TikTok.
All right, good having you on. Over to Aaron.
Big G, if you meet with Buff Bagwell, you got to ask him about the Jeff Meacham interviews and see if he remembers Jeff.
Yeah, I will.
Buff's got quite the Twitter account these days. He's very active on there.
Yeah, he is.
Anyways, thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Thank you, everyone. Much appreciated as always. Don't forget to pick up some merchandise over at NoDQ.com/merch. We do have a NoDQ bot t-shirt, which you can get over there in honor of Robbie Vice. And that's it. Just stay tuned to NoDQ.com and please keep spreading the word. Tell a friend about the NoDQ review. Spread the word any way you can, whether it's email or social media. Call somebody up, say, hey, there's this YouTube channel. They do a good panel video. Anything you can do to help spread the word, very much appreciated. Virtue, on that note, we can go ahead and wrap this up.
I'll keep it simple. Follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue, and I might piss you off so much that you'll block me and unfollow me because I'm a bot as well. Go to NoDQ.com/merch and grab yourself the I'm Sorry shirt. It does say Virtue and the NoDQ logo on the back. That's your only way you're going to get an apology from me. For Robbie Vice, another shout out to Colin McCleaver, Andrew, for Big G for Walter, and for Aaron Rift, I am Virtue. Thanks for listening, watching, or whatever, and we will see you again next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.